thanks for tuning in. Well, I thought might as well review a film for you. I haven't done one for a while, a few weeks anyway. This time, I'm going to review a great British classic, directed by the great late Alan Clarke, written by Roy Minton, starring Ray Winston, Mick Ford, Julian Firth, John Blundell, Phil Daniels and Ray Burgess. Phil Daniels again. This is Scum. Yep, released in 1979. Not to be confused with the Play for Today version, which was the one that was actually banned from screening on the BBC back in 1977. It was an hour long, because every Wednesday back then in England used to have Play for Today, and Scum was one of them. But that was the an hour long one, the play, that was banned, and it was nowhere near as bad as this one. This was the 1979 90 minutes film version shown at cinemas. Yep, great film, very, well, brutal and very dark. It's just, you feel uneasy afterwards. You don't have a great feeling. You don't say, oh, that was a great film, that, and you immediately want to watch it again. No, you don't. It's the kind of film that stays with you for a very long time after the first viewing. It's not so much violent. It's more like psychologically brutal. Anyway, here's a little slice of it. My favourite scene.
Angels.
You might be a smart ass, Archer, but you're nothing but a fool to yourself.
I'll get by.
You'll do the full stretch, do you know that?
Well, they're not having me, Mr. Duke. Oh, I've got to save myself despite whatever methods you bastards devise to destroy me. I'll get through it. Or I won't. But it's my way.
Less lip, Archer. I won't have insolence. Talk's one thing, but I will not tolerate insolence. Right, lad?
Right, sir.
Look at you sitting there with that daft smile on your face. Why aren't you over there with the rest of them?
I'm an atheist.
What do you think that lot are? Disciples? Every Sunday there's an officer allocated to watch you. Just because you're too bloody pig-headed to sit in chapel for half an hour. And every Sunday, that's a little bit more you owe us. You know what the boss is like. You're committing a mortal sin sitting here. They're all atheists, but they don't put it about. I did hear you were thinking of turning Indian.
I think about all sorts of things.
Haven't you seen enough of them in here? Why don't you keep your nose clean and get out?
Boredom? Nah, I never was much good at that.
Pass the time quietly.
You don't hear me moan, do you, Mr. Duke, eh? I mean, I smile. I smile a lot.
You're loose in the head, lad.
What? Yeah, you know when I was in the scrubs, like sweating it out in that filthy cell, well, I had this matchbox. And it said on this matchbox, it takes 60 muscles to frown, but only 13 to smile, so why waste energy? You see, I'm doing my time on a matchbox.
Jesus Christ.
Do nothing to me at DA. Nothing. You know, when I was out, I always reminded myself, you can take something good from every experience. Well, the only thing I'll take from Borstal is evil.
Because you don't bloody toe the line.
No, it's not that, Mr. Duke, no. I mean, now you take Mr. Goodyear. Right, he rattles out bullshit about character building morning, noon and night. Well, it's impossible. It's not on. How can anyone build a character inside a regime based on deprivation? It's a one-way contamination. Good, fine minds thrown in with crazy, perverted people. I mean, what am I doing here? Why aren't I on another wing where there might at least be somebody to talk to, where I could be civilised? I'm always looking over my shoulder. See, if it's not a screw at me, it's a con. Why didn't they send me to an open neck?
You're tall for this, lass, I'll give you that. They should have given you a prison sentence.
Right. You're right.
I was happier in prison. Now I've got to finish my time with a bunch of snotty young hooligans. 2 years of this, lad, before I retire.
How long have you done?
A long time.
That's an hefty sentence, Mr. Duke. One way or another in prisons.
Public service, Archer. Haven't you realised that some of the lads actually like being in here?
Yeah, it's called institutionalised.
That's secure.
Oh, well, I mean, in here you act, you're punished, and you're free. Outside, out there, you act, you're punished by your own guilt complexes, and you're never free.
And what little book did you get that from?
This one, certainly not from what's on offer here. Mr. Duke, I don't wish to underestimate your lifetime's work, but the punitive system does not work. I mean, my experience of Borstal convinces me that more criminal acts are imposed on prisoners than by criminals on society.
Convinces you, eh? Fancy half of that mob charging up and down your street. Fancy your mother tackling that lot on the rampage. No, you bloody well don't. So what do you do about it, eh? Come on, what do you do about it?
I'll talk about it first, like we are.
Talk's bullshit. You lock them up.
Oh, I'd also consider what happens to their guardians.
Watch it, lad.
No, come on, I'm serious, Mr. Duke. Well, take yourself. For a weekly wage, you have been locking up men and boys for most of your working life, right? Now, hanging down your leg is a chain, your key chain, and the length of that chain indicates the time you have spent in the service. Right, you may not have been fortunate in terms of promotion, but the length of that chain gives you rank over other officers of similar rank only. But at the same time, it acts as a constant reminder that although you have spent your life in the prison service, you are still only a basic officer. Now, who gets the stick for that? Us. Who pays for that daily humiliation?
Stand up, Archie. And wipe that fucking grin off your face before I knock it off. Name and number.
4721 Archer, sir.
I give you my fucking coffee and you think you can sit there and have the piss out of me?
No, sir, I didn't. I'll never get the chance to express myself.
Then it's as well you don't, lad.
I was only concerned with men being stripped of their dignity, cons and screws. We aren't much different in here, you know.
You're on report for insolence.
Yes, sir.
There's no real synopsis on the back of this, as such. They're all like newspaper reviews. There's one from the London Evening Standard, the Sunday Times, and 2 from the fucking Guardian. Them Nazi bastards. Owen Jones, suck my dick. I'll do my own synopsis. Mine are usually better anyway, aren't they? Carlin, the main protagonist, is transferred from one brutal Borstal to another. Apparently, he punched an officer because there was a group of officers punching him, so he defended himself. He befriends somebody called Archer, played by Mick Ford, who's a pretendy vegetarian. He doesn't even wear shoes or socks on his feet, even outside in the snow, because he's trying to throw as many spanners in the works as he can to upset the system. Vegetarians have shut him. Anyways, Carlin, Archer and Meeking, they're like the 3 spokespersons, you know, rebels if you like. However, it's not long before Carlin becomes the daddy and he's running the place. Because 2 other kids started at the same day at this Borstal as Carlin. There was a little pipsqueak who only looks about fucking 14 called Davis. You know, he's way out of his depth in here. He ran away from an open Borstal, you see. And there's another little lad called Angel who's a little car thief, apparently. Anyway, they get initialised, as you do in places like that. And there's one line in this film that you'll be familiar with halfway through. Guvnor's report. Right, you're on Guvnor's report. Governor's report. Governor's report. That's the officer's favourite fucking line, I'm telling you. You know, it's a really grim film, as are Alan Clark's films anyway, because he was very gritty, very grim, very dark and very British. His last film, you know, made in 1989, The Firm, about the football hooligans, you know, they tried to ban that before the authorities had even seen it themselves. And in 1986 he directed Rita, Sue and Bob 2, which is quite unusual for him, you know what I mean? That was a comedy. Oh, he tried his hand at something else, I think, yeah. Yeah, well, like I said earlier, it's a film that stays with you quite a while after you've watched it, and you've no desire to watch it again. Well, in the same week, put it that way. So, enjoy. And don't forget, if you misbehave, you're on Governor's report.
Oi, mate! I'm trying